Let me ask you something honest. When was the last time you opened your bank app and felt completely fine? Not anxious, not that little knot in your stomach, not that split second where you almost close it before the balance even loads. If you had to think about it, that's what this video is about. Because that feeling, that low-level financial dread that so many of us carry around every single day, it is not just uncomfortable. It is costing you money. And I don't mean that in a vague, abstract way. I mean there is a measurable, documented financial cost to living with chronic money stress. And most people have no idea it exists. Today, we are going to talk about what I call the anxiety tax. What it is, how it works, and exactly how to start getting out from under it. I'm Olivia. Welcome to the Mind Compendium. I want to start by just saying something that doesn't get said enough in personal finance spaces. Money stress is exhausting in a way that is really hard to explain to someone who hasn't felt it. It's not just worrying about a bill. It's that background noise that's always running. It's checking your account before you go to sleep. It's doing math in your head at the grocery store. It's saying yes to something and immediately feeling sick about it. It's the way a completely unrelated Tuesday can feel heavy because somewhere in the back of your mind, you're thinking about money. And here is what makes it so hard. Most people dealing with this are not in financial crisis. They're not drowning. They're just not where they want to be. And somehow that in-between place, that I'm managing but I'm not okay place, creates its own unique kind of stress. If any of that resonates, I want you to drop a comment below. Just say, I feel this. Because I think a lot of people watching this feel more alone in it than they need to. And I also want you to understand, what you're feeling is not a personal failure. There is actually a neurological reason your brain responds to financial uncertainty the way it does. So let's talk about what's actually happening. Your brain doesn't distinguish very well between a physical threat and a financial one. When you're stressed about money, your nervous system activates the same stress response it would if you were actually in danger. Cortisol goes up. Your prefrontal cortex, the part of your brain responsible for rational decision-making, long-term planning, and impulse control, goes offline. And your brain shifts into survival mode. Here's why that matters financially. A study out of Princeton found that the cognitive burden of financial worry, just the mental load of it, can reduce your effective cognitive capacity by the equivalent of losing 13 IQ points. 13 points! That's the same impact as losing a full night of sleep. So when you're under financial stress, you are literally operating with less mental bandwidth. You're more likely to make impulsive purchases, more likely to avoid dealing with financial decisions entirely, more likely to make short-term choices that hurt you long-term. Not because you're bad with money, but because your brain is in survival mode, and survival mode does not plan for retirement. This is the anxiety tax. The stress itself is making it harder to do the things that would reduce the stress. And it compounds. Because the worse your financial decisions get under stress, the more stressed you become. And the more stressed you become, the worse your decisions get. It's a loop. And understanding that it's a loop, that you're not just bad with money, you're caught in a cycle, is actually the first step to breaking it. Let me make the anxiety tax even more concrete. Because I think when most people hear, stress costs you money, they imagine something vague. This is not vague. Cost number 1, the avoidance penalty. When financial anxiety is high, people avoid. They don't open the statements. They don't check the account. They put off making the call, starting the budget, moving the money. And avoidance has a direct dollar cost. Late fees, missed interest, subscriptions that quietly renew, debt that quietly grows. The thing you're too stressed to look at keeps getting worse while you're not looking. Cost number 2, stress spending. This one is uncomfortable to talk about, but it is so common. When your nervous system is overwhelmed, it looks for relief. And our culture has made spending one of the most accessible forms of relief there is. A new thing, a treat, something that makes you feel, for just a moment, like you have some control. The problem is that stress spending typically increases financial anxiety, which increases stress spending. This is not a willpower problem. This is a nervous system problem. Cost number 3, the productivity drain. Research from the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau found that financial stress is one of the top drivers of reduced workplace productivity. People distracted by money worry are less focused, less creative, less likely to take smart risks at work, the exact risks that lead to raises, promotions, and new opportunities. Your financial anxiety is potentially suppressing the income growth that would solve it. And cost number 4, and this one I feel personally, is the health cost. Chronic financial stress is linked to higher rates of hypertension, sleep disruption, weakened immune response, and depression. And healthcare costs money. Time off work costs money. Not being fully present costs money. The anxiety tax is real. It touches every part of your life, and none of it shows up as a line item on your budget. Okay, so we've named the problem. Now let's talk about what actually moves the needle, because I am not here to just stress you out about your stress. The most important thing I can tell you is this: the goal isn't to stop caring about money. The goal is to get your nervous system regulated enough that your prefrontal cortex can come back online, because that's the part of your brain that's actually good at solving financial problems. Step 1. Shrink the unknown. Financial anxiety thrives on vagueness. The less you know about your actual numbers, the more your brain fills in that gap with worst-case scenarios. I know opening that app feels terrible. Do it anyway. Set a specific time, 10 minutes, once a week, just to look. Not to fix everything, just to know. Familiarity reduces fear. It really does. Step 2. Create one financial win per week. Not a big dramatic overhaul. One small win. Transfer $20 to savings. Pay $5 extra on a card. Cancel one subscription. The goal is to give your brain evidence that you are moving, because a brain that feels stuck spirals. A brain that feels like it's making progress, even slowly, calms down. Step 3. Separate the feeling from the action. You do not have to feel calm to take a financial action. These are two different things. You can be anxious and still open the account. You can be scared and still make the transfer. You can feel behind and still start today. The feeling doesn't have to change first. The action comes first, and the feeling follows. I'll be honest with you. There was a period in my own life where I couldn't look at my finances without feeling physically sick. And the thing that finally shifted it wasn't some big financial breakthrough. It was just doing one small thing consistently until the anxiety lost some of its grip. That's it. That's the whole secret. The nervous system responds to action, not perfection. Action. Now, if everything we talked about today made sense intellectually, but you're still feeling that tightness when you think about your finances, that's not a knowledge problem. That's a nervous system problem. And that's exactly what the companion video to this one is designed for. Over on the Mind Compendium, I have a guided mindfulness practice specifically for financial anxiety. It's not generic meditation, It's built around the exact stress response we talked about today, and it's designed to help you get regulated enough to actually take action. I'll link it right here. Before you go, I want to ask you something, and I genuinely want to hear your answer. What does your anxiety tax look like? Is it avoidance? Stress spending? Not being able to sleep? Drop it in the comments, seriously, because number one, you are not alone in it. And number two, your answer is going to help me make better content for you. If this video helped you see your financial stress differently, please hit the like button. It is genuinely one of the most powerful ways you can support this channel, and it helps me get this content in front of people who really need it. And if you're not subscribed yet, the subscribe button is right there. I post every week about the real psychology behind why smart people struggle with money and how to actually change it. I'll see you in the next one.